Christ is king. Christ is king. Christ is king.
Holy hell!
Christ is king.
What's up, guys? Boy, Benny. Oh, how the turntables turn. There was a little bit of drama over saying Christ is king over the Christian high holiday of Easter. Holiday, of course, that I celebrate, and obviously Christ is king. So I didn't see the drama, and I didn't engage in the drama, but drama, ladies and gentlemen, there seems to be. Up seconds ago, Candace Owens confirmed effectively that she was fired from the Daily Wire for saying Christ is king. No joke. This is really something quite shocking. Apparently, the Daily Wire may be facing legal troubles because they also got rid of other employees who are on Candace's side of this issue. We'll show you the allegations and you can decide, ladies and gentlemen. Candace Owens saying Christ is king is being now seen as dangerous. It's very important to remember that the war on Christ is not started by the left. It was started by Andrew Klavan of the Daily Wire in an attempt to explain how I was anti-Semitic. So let's go through all of this. We've been cataloging all of this, and I suppose we'll start at the beginning. Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are fighting, and they're fighting quite publicly now. They began fighting quite publicly a couple of months ago after the October 7th terrorist attack in Israel over, I believe, what seemed to be very large differences, like a chasm of differences in policy towards Israel, like American policy towards Israel. That led Ben Shapiro to say this.
The question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Without a doubt. I can't know that. Yeah, and she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous. It's not faux sophistication, it's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
So Candace Owens is a faux sophisticated person who's disgraceful and disreputable. And here's Ben Shapiro posing in front of a Candace Owens billboard, gleefully saying that she is uncancelable. Well, they proved that to be incorrect, as the Daily Wire canceled Candace Owens and then fired Candace Owens. Candace Owens has ended the relationship with the Daily Wire. Of course, this started after those comments, and when Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens were quite publicly warring Candace Owens, from my personal perspective, taking quite the high road here by talking about Scripture, saying, blessed are the peacemakers, obviously quoting Christ, saying you can't serve both God and money. Ben Shapiro took offense to that, saying, Candace, if you feel like taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means quit. And that, not a great response here, because Candace is quite literally just quoting Scripture. Candace says, you cross the line when you come for the Scripture and read yourself into it, I will not tolerate it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the deterioration of the relationship. Candace gets fired. And now, apparently, there was an agreement between Candace and Ben to not talk about this at all, not talk about the reasons for their firing. And you can see why. Nobody wants the drama, right? And also nobody wants the legal exposure. But here we are. Ben, we agreed not to talk about this, but you are very much going on a public tour right now and pretending not to talk about it while you are very much talking about it. Would you like for me to do the same? This is Candace Owens talking about various media engagements with Ben Shapiro, where he talks quite extensively with people like Dave Rubin, Piers Morgan, Megyn Kelly, about the Candace Owens firing. And the general line, the basic line here is he's not going to talk about it, but also the Daily Wire does not need to subsidize, which is a term that he used, Candace Owens. Meaning, I guess that Candace Owens lost money at the Daily Wire. I guess that's what you can assume. And that they're under no obligation to do that when they disagree with Candace Owens, and they disagree with Candace Owens over Israel policy and various other acts that she had taken, or stories that she had covered, or speech that she had used. And so there was an Overton window at the Daily Wire. That's effectively what Ben Shapiro says in these interviews. There's an Overton window at the Daily Wire, and you're not allowed to be out of that Overton window. Right? He actually just was on Megyn Kelly's podcast and said the exact same thing.
Israel, how do you respond?
I mean, what I will say is that we have a wide variety of positions on Israel right now inside the Daily Wire. Matt Walsh, obviously, is another one of the hosts at the Daily Wire. He and I wildly disagree about what America's Israel policy should be. Matt is much more isolationist. He basically believes the United States has no real interests in the Middle East, and thus the United States should not be providing material support to anyone, including the state of Israel. Matt obviously is well within the sort of group of hosts that we have here at the Daily Wire. So clearly whatever is going on is not about Israel specifically. That's really all I have to say about it. As far as the free speech of it, as I've said before, the Daily Wire is a publisher, not a platform. I would never call for anyone to be ousted from an actual platform, X, YouTube. Even people who are, I think, absolutely horrific human beings, I've never called for any of them to be ousted. In fact, I've called for them to have their accounts restored if they've been banned. That's not the same thing when it comes to publishers. Publishers obviously have to decide what sort of things they wish to pay for the publication of, and when it comes to hosts and publishers parting ways, obviously there'll be a non-meeting of the minds. That's pretty much all I can say on that.
Mm-hmm. This is why I don't go into business with anybody else, Ben. This is why I like to just be on my own little island here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you've done really well on that island, so.
Well, it's good to have partnerships. Like I love working with the Daily Wire, and I've never found you guys anything other than pro free speech and the defense of it. Doesn't mean you have to be in business, as you point out, with people, no matter what they say. And I think Candace will do fine on her own. It wasn't a good match. I for one applaud the separation for a number of reasons.
So I think that's quite interesting that Megyn Kelly is totally in favor of Candace Owens getting fired. I mean, let that obviously determine who you believe or on what side of what lines when it comes to these kind of things. Megyn Kelly saying that she's very much in favor of Candace Owens being fired from the Daily Wire. There publicly, all right? Now, also publicly, there are these allegations that Candace Owens was fired for saying Christ is king. And this is where we really get to the nugget of the breaking news. So 4 Daily Wire employees, this according to an account I follow on X. I like this account. I don't actually have any idea who runs it, but according to the owner of this account, and he has the emails to back it up. I assume it's a he. I don't know. It's called Censored Men. So who knows? Who knows? 4 Daily Wire employees, all Christians, have approached me, their identities will remain anonymous, and leaked information about an impromptu town hall after Candace's firing. Effectively, what's going on here is that Candace was told repeated use of Christ as king was deemed anti-Semitic, dating back to a meeting with Ben Shapiro. Along with some other things that she didn't, along with other things that they didn't like about Candace's reporting and show. So they said that Candace Owens was anti-Semitic. And the town hall was used effectively to sort of drive that point home. Here's the leaked email from the Daily Wire. Please leave all cell phones at your desk. No phones will be permitted in the town hall. Only employees in the town hall. Apparently, this was the email sent where they attempted to smear Candace Owens as an anti-Semite. Candace Owens says, I was not aware of this. Maybe me and Joe Rogan should get together and talk about it while pretending we're not talking about it. So Candace Owens threatening to go on the biggest show on earth. A show that is orders of magnitude bigger than any show in the world. So big yikes, right? And now we get, ladies and gentlemen, to sort of the interesting Christ is king element to all of this. So there was a interesting series of tweets from Candace where Candace Owens sort of detailed that there was a host on the Daily Wire that slandered her, saying effectively that Christ is king was anti-Semitic. Now, Candace Owens tweeted this clip. In this clip, David French, a fake Republican, he calls himself a Republican so he can get on TV and then bash Republicans. He's not a Republican. He's a limp-wristed coward and traitor to the nation, to his party, and is an embarrassment. He says, what we saw on Easter Sunday was a remarkable display of venom and hatred. During Holy Week, Christians all over Twitter were posting Christ as king, specifically aimed to assert religious dominance in a gross and ugly way. It's very dangerous. Candace Owens responding, saying the left is describing Christ as king as something dangerous. It's very important to remember that this was started by the Daily Wire, a host named Andrew Klavan of the Daily Wire, in an attempt to explain how I was anti-Semitic. Now, Candace Owens followed that up with a thread from a few days ago, talking about my former colleague, Andrew Klavan, been spreading inaccuracies about me that I view as disparaging to my character. So let's slowly unpack the claims here. Klavan, in an attempt to explain why Christ is King can be anti-Semitic, offered on a podcast this about me.
Totally fair question, and it was because one of our major talents at the Daily Wire parted ways. The Daily Wire parted ways with Candace Owens, and part of it was things that she was saying that we felt were strongly anti-Semitic, and she was doing it in such a way that it was kind of hard to pin down. So I was trying to show where these things happen. So, for instance, she retweeted a tweet accusing a Jewish guy of being drunk on Christian blood, which is, of course, an ancient slander against the Jews, that they eat Christian children.
So again, much like with the Ben Shapiro clip, right, calling Candace Owens disreputable and disgraceful and a pseudo-intellectual, like, I don't know, it's crazy that you're saying these kind of things publicly. Like, you just put a cap on it and be done. You know, Candace goes through in this thread and defends herself and talks about the smears against her and sort of these real public blow-ups with these various personalities. They all disagree with each other. And that's actually fine. You can have these conversations, right? But you don't have to do it through name-calling and through disparaging somebody else's character. And I think that's ultimately what Candace is so pissed about right here. And also, it does sort of lend itself to the assumption that she was fired in part for this. She was fired in part for these statements, the Christ is King statement. I mean, look, they're doing an entire press tour now, right? They're doing an entire press tour about how Christ is King is somehow an evil thing to say. No, it is not. It is the fundamental tenet and belief of the Christian faith. If you view it as threatening, then you know why. If you view it as wrong to say that, then you know why. It's because you hate Christianity. And that's precisely what everybody is saying right here, right? What everyone is saying is effectively that they hate Christianity. It will never not be funny watching these fervent anti-Trump folks go on the same show, which helped Trump win the 2016 primary. Okay. David French is worse than an enemy. He masquerades as a friend. He does the bidding of the regime. Talk about upside down reality. Apparently, they don't like it when you say Christ is King on Easter. Thought leaders of Con Inc. continue to reveal themselves as Christian bigots, anti-Christian bigots who despise their own voting base. Thank God MAGA expelled these people from the conservative movement. Con Inc. gonna Con Inc. So obviously this is getting the traction right now. But ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it just, for us, it sort of lends itself to the greater overall story that Candace Owens was fired for effectively stating wrongly or stating too effusively her beliefs, right? Not wrongly, but too overtly stating her beliefs. Okay? And that's kind of what the Daily Wire said. That's kind of what Ben Shapiro said. It's what Jeremy Boring said. And it's what Candace's former coworkers have now said about her. And now they're smearing her for stating Christian beliefs, like the fundamental tenets of the Christian faith, and saying that that's anti-Semitic, which is insane. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's the world we live in. We live in an insane world. I've stated many, many times, I know a lot of people on both sides of this thing. I'm not here to try and flame anyone or set anything ablaze. I'm here to just talk through what's going on, much like we did with Tucker's firing, so that people understand the facts and so that people can make their own decisions. Okay? And here we are. I've made my own decision. My decision is Christ is King. I'm not going to apologize for that, nor is it wrong to say that. That's just true. And there's a lot of truth on this channel. You should like, share, and subscribe to get more truth. It's your boy, Betty. See you.